Hi all, Sivas here, and welcome to my review of Marvel Legends Retro Spider-Man. This Spider-Man was released in 2020, and it's supposed to be a fully articulated and fully detailed action figure of the Spider-Man from the 90's cartoon. And that small detail was the only reason I bought him. When I was a kid, watching Spider-Man on Jetix was the shit. For the sake of this review, I rewatched some episodes, and the cartoon still holds up. It's really fun, and it's a good representation of the character and the many stories that Spider-Man went through. For the personality, do I need to explain Spider-Man? Like, I think everybody heard that story. A weird and geeky teenage photographer gets bitten by a radioactive spider, and that turns him into the radioactive Spider-Man with spider blood. Sorry, I got carried away a little. Now, with the mantra of "with great power comes great responsibility," he fights weird and quirky mutants and colorful baddies. Spidey here has some awesome details in both the paint of his suit and webs on them, as well as sculpting of his muscles. Just look at those spider guns, but I don't think they got the details right. His colors feel really off. Even the art on the box is really bright and colorful, while this toy is dark. Like, look. I just crank up the saturation in Photoshop a little, and bam! This Hasbro, this is what I want. Oh well. Let's move on to the accessories. We have a pair of ink hands, those are rather iconic to the character. An alternative head, which has this squinting expression. I think Peter sometimes looked like this in the show, when he was angry or tried to intimidate his enemy. Wait, how does that even work? How can he move the lenses with his eyes? Never mind. And those are rather basic accessories. But what else can we get? Spider-Man isn't known for walking around with weapons. Maybe some web strings? But I don't know how they could even do it. Even if you steal some weapons from other Hasbro figures, like this Power Rangers Lightning Collection Red Ranger from Beast Morphers, he wouldn't be even able to hold them, since he doesn't come with any open hands. But the thing that makes it up is his articulation. His head is on a ball joint, it can move forward and back, but don't overdo it, since Spider either loses his chin or gets a troglodyte neck. His shoulders have a butterfly joint, rotation in the shoulders, movement out and in, bicep rotation, double hinged elbow, rotation in the wrist. Also he can hinge his hands up and down. Peter can rotate in his upper chest, crunch in his abs, move the ball joints in his hip, rotate his thigh, double bend the leg, rotate in the calves, tilt in his ankles, as well as move his foot. If you combine both of those aspects, you can pull off some great poses. Either punching, swinging through the air, or webbing up the bad guys. Spidey looks great. No joke, in my opinion, Spider-Man is one of the most fun characters to pose due to his many iconic athletic poses. But as I said, giving him also open hands, and maybe those wall crawling hands, to pose him sticking to the walls. And I know Hasbro has molds for those, since they released them with the Pizza Spider-Man. But I'm happy that we got both pairs of changeable hands, since I saw that some Spider-Mans only came with like one fist and one web shooting hand. That type of asymmetry would annoy me so much. Let's compare Spidey with Power Rangers Lightning Collection Beast Morphers Red Ranger, S8's Figure Arts Kamen Rider Forze, Transformers Generations Airfry's Optimus Prime, Transformers Telemoka Black Arachnia, and my boy Magazine Bumblebee. You know what, maybe let's take a closer look at the Ranger for a second, since they use a similar design and technology, but they are different enough. Spidey has this gigantic hole in the back of his head to allow him to look up. The Rangers can't do it, but that means you will also never see the giant gap in their necks. Even though the toys share the same butterfly joints in the shoulders, the elbow feel different. Like Red Ranger's one is more clicky, but the biggest difference between the toys is that the Rangers are shorter by like a few centimeters due to their shorter necks and bodies. But that also of course depends on the mold. Kruger is almost the same height as Spidey, while Devon is a tad shorter. So, in final opinion, This Spider-Man is a really good action figure of a Spider-Man, but I don't think it's a good toy of the 90s cartoon Spider-Man. Like, I would personally make him full of bright colors. Maybe they chose this darker palette to work with other, more realistic Marvel Legends toys, since if it kept the cartoon coloring, it would stick out like a sore thumb. But isn't sticking out the point? This toy is supposed to be the cartoon Spider-Man. The cartoon that was the start of the original Marvel Cinematic Universe. The one that didn't need to have multi-million budgeted actors and it didn't need to pull off a whole circus act of jumping over 1,000 of legal hoops to have X-Men stand next to Spider-Man. Oh well, I don't know if I will be interested in buying more of this wave. Like, Electro looks okay, even though he wasn't in the show, same as this Daredevil from what I remember. And that's not how Peter Parker looked in the 90s cartoon. In the show he rocked this Fred Jones like mint turquoise and blue shirt and jeans. Call me when we get the release of like a Mysterio or Dr. Octopus. Oh, maybe Venom with this weird 3D filter that he always had in the cartoon. Or maybe a figure of J. Jonah Jameson. Those are always the funniest toys. Like, I think in the movie line there released a whole toy which had a gimmick of flipping up his table in anger. Yeah, sorry for going on a little tangent. If you're a giant 90s Spider-Man cartoon fan, I would highly recommend this toy. Thank you all for watching, don't forget to like, subscribe, check out my social media, and don't forget, can we technically call this a Halloween special? Like, spiders are scary, and the thumbnail has cobweb buttons. Bye!